Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first in-person pilot podcast, Neighbours edition. And today is me, Andre, and my friend Giuseppe. And
Welcome.
Hey, Giuseppe. And today we are going to talk about the corporate life, the corporate hell, and all the things related. So we can start with our first question to Giuseppe, and I will continue talking about it. Is about the corporate life and how do you feel about the companies in general?
Yeah, there are things that are extremely nice and things that can be better, I think. Depends much from the market, depends from the people that are working with you. Usually you can see that there are not your colleagues that having the same effort that you do.
How about the money?
How about the money? The half of your money goes in taxes. And is not that much that remains. And usually when it's about corporate, they make profit on a really small margin. So if you ask for a raise, is probably will be a really small raise, like a couple of $100. That one is in common for all the corporates. So don't expect that you go to your manager and they will give you like 1,000, 2,000 or things like that. Will not going to happen.
Let's maybe stop a bit on the raises here in Finland, because Finland is a social democracy. And maybe let's talk more about how you can get a raise and, how much you can get out of that raise. So I can give you an example. And one of the example was when I was working in one of my previous companies. You can get like a 500 euro raise. You get a lot more responsibilities, but because of the taxes, you can only get, 300 euros max out of the raise. So in my mind, like, this is what's wrong with the corporate life in Finland in general, is when you want to grind hard, like through all those years, climb the corporate ladder, the only thing you can get is a very small marginal increase of your salary because of the taxes. And while that is true, the companies, they ask you to work like more, they add responsibilities.
Not indeed. Usually it's at least for my current situation, they really cannot ask me to work more than what I'm doing, because it's already more than of the possibilities. I would say that usually they don't give any raise because of the normality. If you don't ask, you don't get anything. If you ask, you can get something, but depending from the company where you're working, you may have a different policy. So for example, some company, they give raises during some performance review once a year, twice a year. So it's really depending on which company are you in and their culture and their policy that are in place. For sure, it's much easier to work as a contractor. So, for example, they will know what they will get and you will know what you will get. So, for example, if you have one contract that is on 6-month time frame, you know that for that period you will get that payment. And after you can renegotiate what is your salary. If you are a full-time employee, this is not possible. Or better, you can try, but the outcome is not really known.
Okay, so and what's the deal with your company? Do you enjoy working there?
Of course, I enjoyed. Consider that there was a couple of reorganization, so all the teams, some of the teams got merged in bigger teams, but the reason why I really enjoyed and I enjoy the company are the people. Imagine that you are going there in the morning, you see people that are familiar to you, you start the day by drinking coffee with them, having meetings. So I'm really a people person, so I'm not like the kind of guy that likes to stay too much on the computer. I like to discuss about products, how to make a better product, how to take care of our customers. So it's really much some collaborative work. Like, let's try to be doing our best. Let's decide how to do it, and let's agree what is the next step altogether. And after, for sure, there you need to ask the green light to product management. Anyway, I'm working in a software development area, so there are a lot of people involved in that. You need to sync with marketing, sales, product managers. It's nice exactly because if you like to do this, to stay in meetings, perfect job.
How about when the company say that we are all big family here? How do you feel about that? Let's talk about more bullshit. This is not a very formal recording. Let's just dive into details when companies telling you that we are the family here.
Not currently, not in this current company, but I heard this really nice sentence in the past, and that one is saying that means that they don't want to let you grow, they don't want to let you earn more, but still they need of you. So you are part of the family because you need to give them something. But it's hopefully is part of a past that is not there anymore. Of course, people when they hear the "we are family" bullshit, they run away as fast as they can from the family. So,
have you ever thought about becoming a contractor?
Okay, consider that I thought of that because in corporates is extremely difficult to fire people. So imagine that you have that you're working on a team and there is like someone that is doing the 10%, someone else that is doing the 100% of the current sprint. In that case, you feel stressed for this. So it's not like that everyone are participating on the same level. So that one can be one of the reasons why some of them leave. Working as contractor means that if you are not good, they will not fire you, but they will not renew the contract. So means that your interest is to do your best. Why? Because there will be possibilities for new projects. There will be also renegotiation for your salary. You will also work on your personal brand. So means that they will know who you are and they will try to find you. So it's not only the problem of your current project, but you will also have new projects because people know you, that you are in that kind of market. So I would say, that one, being a contractor, having a B2B contract is a really nice idea. Currently, I'm more like studying how to create a startup, a product company by myself. So it's really nice to try to create a product from an idea. So there is maybe some gap in the market that you feel, something that you would like to have and is missing. So there are in my background, I studied different things, but the business part related to creating a startup, that one never. So I started looking around and applying for a pre-incubator, start networking more. So that one is something that will bring me out from this kind of family, I would say. But at the same time will be still interesting because you are trying to improve people's life.
Okay, so you're kind of thinking about creating your own company at some point, like a startup.
Of course.
And lead it. Okay, I can just tell my 50 euro cents about how do I feel. So I've been working in the software industry for more than 12 years. I jumped in different from different companies to different companies. I worked in Ukraine, I worked in Estonia, I worked in Finland. And I never felt really satisfied within the company just because people and CEOs, they always say these bullshit words that we all need to go extra mile to employees.
Think out of the box.
Think out of the box, do all kind of things, but they are not willing to pay you any extra money for that.
But they pay you in experience.
Well, let's say you do the same daily job from every year, you are 5 years in the company. Mm-hmm. How is that an experience except for a record in the LinkedIn profile?
That one is exactly when you press I'm open to new opportunities. After you do the same thing for 1 year, they are wasting your time, your energy, and your nerves. So I would say by having that feeling, I would just like start looking for new opportunities. I can tell you that when I moved to Finland, before I was working in Italy after the university studies, and what I felt is that the working culture in Finland is much better than in Italy anyway.
How so? Can you compare Italy to Finland, for example?
Yeah, here you consider that you do your 7.5 hours as a full employee. It sometimes can happen that you do 8 or when 9 when you are really near some deadline. In Italy, at least for what was the situation, it was 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, it was pretty common that they were under resourced and you needed to do much more than what was needed. Imagine that they needed to hire 2 people, they was taking one for doing all the work of both of them.
Okay. And in Finland, it's much more chill. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I'm coming from Ukraine and Estonia, for instance. In Finland, it's much more chill. And yeah, sometimes there is a crunch time when you have to deliver something really fast, but usually it's very humane in Finland. And yeah, but let's maybe also stop. I want to maybe turn up the table and talk about the profitability of the Finnish companies and why the economical growth is stagnating. And from my perspective, the first reason is that it's very hard to fire people in Finland.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So if you want to fire someone, you really...
Okay, let's start saying that you don't want to fire anyone. So there is a process in place for low performer, let's say like this. When there is a low performer, you don't think even about firing the person. What you are thinking is like, okay, let's talk with the employee and let's try to find the root cause of this low performing. So that one, closing one employment is really something that comes at the end of different steps that people don't want really to do it, because anyway you understand that the person can have a family, maybe there are like some problems that there are in the current situation. Usually I understand that in the corporate there are different steps that you would like to before talk to the person, after try to create one PIP, personal improvement plan, and after that there will be probably the manager will follow more and more. I was working for...
That can go for like 6 months.
Depends. I can tell you that I was my previous role in the company was manager. I was managing one team. It never happened to me to do this kind of discussion with the team members, and I'm really happy of that, because anyway I was hiring that people, so I'm in a position that I can trust them. And after there was different reorganization, someone left, someone was hired more. So anyway, it's I'm pretty happy that I never had this responsibility to stop any employment.
Yeah, but from my perspective, I can tell that I worked with one company that tried to, avoid complying to those Finnish firing rules. I won't name the company by obvious reasons, but there was a time when the company was low on the money and they needed to get rid of, I don't know, maybe 10 people.
Okay, laid off.
Yeah, and in Finland, to lay off 10 people or even 5 people, you need to call in the union, and then you have to start negotiations with the union.
If I'm not wrong, for companies that are bigger than 30 people, you need to call for public negotiations. Otherwise are some kind of internal process.
Yeah, so you need to give those people a severance. You need to pay them, 3-4 months of the salaries.
It's not like that. Maybe before, nowadays is not mandatory. So, for example, there are, depending from your contract, there are some month of notice That one you're right, but there are no rules in place for giving compensation. For example, I know myself that there are some company in Finland that are paying 1 month of employment every 2 years. So, for example, you are in the company for 2 years, they will give you, in case of layoff, this month. Can be, depends from the company, depends from the company culture a lot as well.
Yeah, so just to continue that story, there was one company I've been working for, and at some point they needed to fire from 10 to 15 people. And as you know, you need to call for the union negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
But that company, they had a lot of employees from the different countries. So not Finnish people, like, I don't know, people from Britain, people from Germany, and they had different rules there. And the CEO of that company, they tried to manipulate those people into, just move away from the company, but their own wish. So to the union, it will look like 10 or 15 people just resigned from the day. And of course, they said, like, we will give you 1 or 2 months salary, and please fuck off from the company. And I remember a lot of people were calling out this behavior, but in the end, yeah, they did what they did. And some people were negotiating like 4 months of salary and things like that, just not to take in the union. So this is my like biggest economical problem in Finland. Is I know that the worker rights are protected, and then you can rely on your employer, so they pay your salary. You cannot be fired like in the United States. But during the bad times, like we are now, like inflation is growing, and you need to become more efficient as a company if you want to deliver something, if you want to make the profit margins, if you want to keep your like personnel, you have to make changes. And yeah,
I think about a different problem. In this kind of atmosphere, how do you think that the employees that will pass through this negotiation process will spend the working days? Do you know how they can do innovation? How they can create something that is really meaningful? People that are stressed are not the best performer, I think. So by having these change negotiations because they need to improve the profit margins and so on, anyway, they create a stress. So by having this stress, they create some kind of delay. They create some products, in the case of software, that are not the best one ever. So I can tell you that usually what HR says is try to focus on what you can control. And in that case, what you can control is your project, the work inside the team, because yourself you cannot understand if you will be the one pick it up. So may happen, may not happen. The point is that people that are capable, who is able working, who is able delivering it, they are not the one worried about layoff. Because if you get layoff, you say, okay, whatever, you move on. So it's really nice anyway that there is like when there are companies that give financial packages, but at the same time, who should be worried are the ones that are low performer. Because in the case of low performer, they will have more difficulties passing any interview process. If you are working B2B, you are already capable of taking a new project or working maybe not the day after a couple of weeks. Because anyway, it's something that is extremely stressful.
Yeah, but okay, I wanted to ask, well, maybe not to ask, but elaborate more about, like, this is for the people who are employed and they don't really feel like happiness from what they're doing, because this is exactly like why I became a contractor, like full time, and I switch out because there are multiple reasons. And the first reason is because of the payment. We discussed the payment like 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And this is like my main problem with Finland. I mean, the highest I can get in Finland honestly, like as a senior software engineer or like a project manager, that's around 7,000 to 8,000. It's a very high salary in Finland.
Yeah,
That's
in
gross.
fact, the companies are not paying that; they pay less.
Yeah, and that's gross salary. So the net salary would be around
4.5,
yeah,
if we count
something
7.
around. Some companies they try to spice it up with options, and I must say that I have some options from the different companies, but honestly, I never saw a single euro out of those options. I never exercised my options just because those all companies they are not really
They're
successful.
startups.
Yeah, they're startups. They were not really successful. They're still all of them. They're still alive, but they're not making any huge profits. So yeah,
Well, depends. If they are sold, if these companies are sold to some bigger player, you may get back that money and will be fine.
yeah. So my next step was I'm not happy with the payments. I'm not happy with bosses telling me that I need to walk the extra mile just for whatever reason. I don't believe that we are in the family at the working place. I don't really believe in the corporate culture. So I think that that's a road to become a contractor, because as a contractor in Finland, I'm not talking about myself, but you can easily get yourself up to, I don't know, 15,000 per month. And that's already a big step. And this is a very big advantage. Like I will just mention some advantages. Like you can get 15,000. That's already quite a good salary, right? You can live quite good on that amount of money. The second one is that if you don't like something, you can just move on. Right? You don't like the company. You don't like the project. It's time to say goodbye and farewell. And yeah.
You still need to give some notice time. But I think what is 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, depends on the company. In the latest company I was working for in Finland, that was 2 months actually.
2 months.
2 months. But we agreed that
Depends-
to reduce
depends-
that to 1 month.
Depends much from the country itself. Because, for example, I can tell you in Poland, B2B contracts are 2 weeks notice.
Okay. Yeah, and in Finland you can negotiate, of course, with your employer and the company that hires you. But yeah, it really
Depends from your contract,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And then the third big advantage is that you're kind of building your personal brand. And this is what I was recommending to you, that, I mean, imagine you are being an employee. You are kind of invisible to the outside world. I mean, you don't have a name because your CEO has a name and your company has a name, but you are one of those working units that are working on some company project. But it's not you. It's not the part of your brand and things like that. So this is already quite bad for me. And when you switch to being a contractor, this is why I recommend to a lot of people who are not really satisfied with what they're doing as an employees. Here's like, you can improve your work-life quality by just building your own brand. And this might be quite complicated in the first year because you're kind of starting from the start. You don't have anything behind your shoulders. You're just on the fresh start. No one knows you. And then you have to find your first clients and go from there. But once you have that, finding new contracts and money is never a problem for you. And then you don't really have to rely on your employer's salary of 6,000-7,000 per month. And then you can start investing. Then you can, raise your hourly rates and things like that. And by doing that, you are becoming a very resilient person in general. And this
Depends also from your level. Let's not give
let's not give false hope to the junior
hopes, because
to the
it's
junior people.
these numbers that he's saying are like for the high end.
Yeah.
So it means that if you are extremely proficient in what you're doing, also in corporate, if you are in a position of an head architect, you are also paid well. At the same time, if you are having a B2B contract, you will get paid more because it's a different starting point.
Well, how do you think the architect can make in Finland? How much?
I guess from 90 to 120, 130.
And that's per month around 10,000 max.
Yeah, it's around 10,000.
Yeah, but that's 10,000 per month being employed, paying hell lot of taxes.
Yeah, because after we need to understand that in Finland there is this kind of taxation system that is dynamic.
Yes.
So I think that what is the maximum rate here?
I think, well, I don't want to lie, but the highest I got when I've been employed was around 40%.
But it is already a lot, 40%.
Yeah, the 40% is a lot.
40% is almost the half of your salary. Gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can talk about it on the different episode. It's not really gone. It goes to the social services, the pension, kindergarten, school, social welfare, whatever. But yeah, that's the point. Almost half of your salary is just gone. And again, when you're a contractor, as I said, you can make 15 grand per month or even more. I mean, you can make up to 30, 40 grand per month.
Okay, depends from the field where you're working on. It's not all the same.
Yes.
If you are usually, I think that if you want to work for some Finnish company, the rates are pretty low. If you are working for a market where the rates are higher, you can figure out and you can get paid a bit more near what are the numbers that Andri is sharing. But still, it's mostly depending from the market rates. There is in every market there is a compensation range for each position, and in that case there are markets that are paid more, markets that are paid less, and sometimes remote working is possible. I don't really like the remote working myself because I'm more for having this interaction with all the people. I really like to have my team, but at the same time I understand that it is also possible to have to work in a B2B way and get multiple projects instead of having only one project for one company, because in that case you will not be anymore full-time for one company, but you will be able to do your work for one company on a project, another company in a different project, and after you can in a few words diversify your incomes, so you will have an umbrella of incomes.
Yeah, you have different sources of revenue.
Different
for yourself, yeah.
Exactly. So in that case, more stronger is your brand, more possibility you will have, and less free time you will have as well. So it's, but at the same time, usually there are this kind of common skill set that is required, because I think that if you will get some work in remote to be a developer for cybersecurity, let's say, I don't think that you will start something completely different. Usually there is this kind of common skill set for all the projects that you will get.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I wanted to mention something. I will cut it out. Let me think about it for a while. Yeah, so you were mentioning that the Finnish rates are quite low if you work for a Finnish company. And I have one example, and my friend, he's working as a Salesforce developer. You know that they have their own programming language to code for the Salesforce platform, and he just opened the company and he's already making 16 grand per month. Of course, he has old clients while he was employed, he has the connections, but it's still 16k a month in Finland. That's pretty good. And yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, this is contrary to what you're saying, that the Finnish rates are low. Startups will pay less, of course, but the big companies, I don't know, like Finnair, who else in Finland? I don't know, maybe Rovio or Supercell. They're willing to pay high rates for a great talent. And I just remembered the second point I wanted to mention. No one limits you to work for Finnish companies. You can always go and work for, I don't know, richer countries like United States. And then in United States, they're willing to pay much higher rates. So you can get, well, depends on your skill set, of course, but assuming we're talking about the senior person, like a senior project manager or developer, you can get up to 500k per year.
Okay, that's really nice.
It's just, yeah, it depends on your skill set. It depends on your connections, but I mean, that's the reality. And I mean, I'm working with a lot of people who are making $500,000 per year. Some people are making even more. So I'm coming a bit from the different industry. I was working in the traditional SaaS software industry, like B2C, B2B. But 3 years ago, I switched to a smart contract development for the blockchain. And recently I've been doing auditing of the smart contracts. And the top players in the smart contract auditing, they make, in average, €3,000, $3,000 per day. Yeah, so to wrap up the point about smart contracts auditing, it's supply and demand. The demand is high, the supply is very low. So if you want to make some money, I highly suggest to start looking at it. You don't even need to be a super good coder. It's mostly about your analytical skills, skills about how you can find out the issues with the code and how to, hack something. So you can make a lot of money out of it. Jump into the next point. I wanted to ask you about the employment and the things around that. So let's say we have a taxi driver and an employee, a senior employee, like maybe executive, CEO, and the taxi driver. And who is more resilient and anti-fragile? Yeah.
Depends. For example, in a pandemic situation where people in IT could work easily remotely, there was taxi driver. There were no customer. So basically, they had problems. But if I need to say, let's think during these last 6 months, 1 year, where there are all the IT companies that were doing restructuring, layoff, and so on. In that case, being a taxi driver, you are independent. You have your license, you can continue working, you don't... more you stay on your taxi, more money you make. And this is pretty different from being a full-time employed.
Yeah, this was my point. So
let's become all of us taxi driver. Good point. Also, white car are trendy.
My point was, you can be, for example, an executive, right? You're a CEO in the company and you make a lot of money, right? You can make 12,000 euros in Finland as a CEO position. But imagine the company is struggling and you are getting fired by the board of directors. It will be extremely hard for you as a CEO or any executive to find a job
position. It's true.
Yeah, you just need to pull microphone a bit closer to the mouse.
Okay.
So, and if you imagine the chart, right? So the money and robustness is the x axis, and this is the time axis, and the y is your money and robustness. And for the CEO, it goes like this, then it drops to zero. You have no income, no one wants you on the market. Then you may be at the zero for quite some time, and then it goes up again, and then you're getting fired again, and then it looks like this.
That is the life of CEOs.
Yes, but
it's not like something that is constant on the time.
Exactly.
Usually these I don't know, for each company can be 6 years, 5 years, and after they need to change because it's just the way that it is, at least in IT companies.
But look at the taxi driver. Taxi drivers, they always have clients. We can talk about Corona times, but I was using Uber during Corona times a lot. I was still going to the office sometimes. I was going to shopping. I saw a lot of taxi drivers around. And if you imagine the chart for the taxi driver, it's always flat. It sometimes dips, during Corona times, but you're always on the same level.
But don't forget that there were countries where there was people that could not even leave home. So in that case, in Finland, there were really loose restrictions. In other countries, you could not leave home and there was control and you needed to stay in your apartment. So in that case, there was, I can tell you about Italy. All the gym were closed, restaurant closed, pubs closed, no taxi driver.
It must be very horrible for Italy to have all restaurants closed. How did people survive this apocalypse?
I was in Finland. That here the restriction, what was? The pub closed at 6 of the afternoon?
I think
or 8.
It's 8, I think.
It's a disaster anyway for Finnish.
Yes.
It's pretty weird.
Yes, but to speak about Finland during Corona times, I was crazy mad because the restaurants and pubs were open until 8 p.m. You're allowed to go and drink there. You're allowed to have food. But the gyms were closed. I remember I was going on a train.
Your gym, not mine. You need to go to the private gym.
I'm sorry. I'm not living that luxury life to have a private gym. But Elixir was closed at the time. I remember there was a special governmental order to close the gyms during Corona times, and that was crazy because the bars are open.
At the time, I was at the fitness village, and I guess that there was a limitation of the number of people inside. So it was important that there were not more than 30 people at the same time. And there was like every night they were cleaning all the machinery and things. But depends from the gym itself. I didn't have any problem in that. Indeed, if you really want to know about the Corona time, I was saving money because there was no way to spend money. So it was not that bad.
Okay, about saving money. How can you save money even if you are in a senior position in the company? How much can you save every month? Imagine like in Finland, 7-8K is already considered a very high salary. Can you save money? Like a lot of money?
The point is that Finland is not cheap. So when you pay like the renting house insurance, car insurance, fuel, food, you don't have much aside, especially if you live in the downtown. By being a bit more far, if you don't go too much to restaurants, you can save something, but after the quality of life probably will be a bit lower. So I can tell you that Finland and save money, they are really not on the same page, at least being in the downtown.
And being an employee. But if you're a contractor, I'm pretty sure you can really save some money if you are being a contractor.
He's basically trying to convince me to start a B2B contract.
I was basically trying to convince him to open the pizza restaurant, and I was willing to cede it because this man cooks the best pizza I've ever tried in my life, and any other Italian dishes as well.
The point is that during the summertime we are pretty good to party, and we make pizza, we make barbecue, and 10, 15, 20 people all together, it's always nice. Especially the Finnish summer is perfect. If you see that week of the year is the best week ever. I'm joking, but it's still usually really short. It's not 2-3 months like in the southern countries. But at the same time, it's you really need to find the way to spend your time. The best way to spend your time is with your friends. So as soon as you have like the occasion to spend time with them, even with them that you don't see them for a long time, there are like more and more. It's the way that you should spend the summer.
Yeah, coming back to your restaurant.
My restaurant? I don't have any restaurant.
Tell 5 words why you don't want to open the restaurant in Finland.
Because it's not my core area. I would just like want to spend time with my friends. I don't want to spend time in the kitchen or on a restaurant. I have my favorite places where to go, and I'm fine with that. So I would see myself as, for example, some product manager, program manager for following different projects. That one is something really nice because I like to create a product that people use. So I spend usually my days in meetings. And that is like something that when you see the end of the tunnel, when you are creating a new product, new functionalities, and you see that how they are seen from the customer, that is nice. About the restaurant anyway, I really enjoy. For example, Andrew was mentioning about cooking. Usually, if I do the cooking before, it's all nice. But as soon as there are people coming, I just like forget of everything. I just let continue.
Let the process go.
Yeah. Usually, just like everything is as soon as you have like all the steps, all the things are in place. I remember that there was like one guy that we were like asking him to cook the pizza, so he was the responsible of the oven. I will not make any names. Yeah, it's. I was like really happy to prepare all the things before. But after this guy was burning every pizza that was going out from the oven.
Well, not all of the pizzas. I think some pizzas went out pretty nice, but then in the end they were
1 out of 10 was nice.
Okay, but I'll let you decide on that.
But at the same time, I remember that we did, I don't know, small organization, we had like 30 or 40 pizza.
That's a lot of pizzas.
That's fine. That's nice. That's the right way to enjoy life. Plus, we had so much alcohol that I still have alcohol in the fridge in Lautasari that I'm not able to finishing it.
Okay. Yeah, coming back to the
our original topic.
Yes, to the problems of employment versus entrepreneurship. And with the time when I became like a contractor, I started understanding that some people are still like to be employees of the employer.
Can I tell you one thing? What I think being employed for a company is a really good way to make your bonds, to do experience, because you need to understand which is your direction. So you want to be in a company or you want to be the boss of yourself and to have more control. But anyway, you need to pass from that to make the difference and also to grow as an engineer, as a developer,
as a manager,
but mainly you need to pass from that. At the end of the day, okay, yeah, there is a main difference between the payments, but it gives you the mindset. You know that you need to start something, you need to complete it. You know that there are process for everything. That one is like something that people may not be aware of, all of them. That is something I really loved, because it's like something that usually you read once, you will remember, and there are a lot of rules, and you know that for everything there is a rule. And so basically, you, even if you work as B2 with a B2B contract, you will know that there is something you need to comply, especially if you are working for a corporate. If you are working as a smart contract developer, that one, maybe there is like a bit more flexibility. You know what is expected from you, and you just like focus on being on time to comply to that kind of regulation. But there is not all this massive amount of rules that there is in the corporate. That is like something that I remember when I started, I thought, ooh, wow. It's you need to pass from that. You will learn, you will grow, and eventually you will create your own company or you will work as a contractor. But still, what I see that is important is that you will create your network, you will meet people, and this is not much about the reading, is not much about the work itself, but is about the interaction that you create with the other people. The moment
soft
that I
skills
enjoy
as well.
The moment that I enjoy myself the most of all is when I spend time talking to people. Can be like at the coffee machine, can be because there is a meeting about talking of some functionality, but itself is just maybe nature. But I also enjoy when you have like control, as Andri is mentioning. You have your assignment by having this different kind of contract. And because it's a really area that is not well known, is paid more. And that one after you need to think that there are extra expenses anyway. Because in this moment, if you are employed to a company, they will just, you will receive the net salary. And there will be all different things that will be paid automatically, and you will not even think to that. In the case of a B2B contract, you will need to pay one accountant, you will need to think about your pension.
I can add to that. Yeah, it adds some operational costs. You need to pay, as you mentioned, for accountant. You have to generate those invoices. And if you have multiple clients, those are like, 3-4 invoices maybe per month. Then you have to make sure you pay a pension to the pension fund. So you get something when you get old. And then talking to the accountant as well, what you can, what you can't buy in the company, managing the taxes, managing the VAT. That's some operational cost, but I think the difference between added operational cost with the net profit margins that you can get, like imagine your salary is at this level, and then what you can get when you're working as a contractor, and there is a bit of overhead as an operational cost. So it's a bit of a hassle, but I wouldn't say it's too much. And of course, I do agree with you that if you are not a very senior person, if you're just starting your career, maybe don't expect, to be an entrepreneur or like a solo contractor for quite a while. You need to get that experience. And most importantly, you need to grow your network. And after 13 years of experience, I think that the network is the most important thing. It's not your how good you can code, how good you can solve the problems. It's all about the network. How many people you know, how many people know you. And yeah, you can go from there. And sometimes I just realized that when we need to, when we have a project and we need to grow a head count, sometimes we just hire people that are just, nice people. And it's nice to be around those people. They just, nice people to work with. And they are not like jerks or assholes. Because I've been working with a lot of people who were considering themselves like a rock star. Exactly. A rock stars, but they were fucking jerks. It was almost impossible to work with those people. So usually I would always pick like a very mediocre person in terms of the technical skills. But
they will grow anyway.
Yeah, he will grow anyway. If you are interested in the domain, you will grow and you will expand your skills. But if you're an asshole, there's nothing you can do about that. And well, basically that applies to the companies and the corporate work as well.
I can tell you, in my experience, I met 2 or 3 of these rock stars, as known as assholes. And it's not nice to work with them at all. Because if you understand that there is like someone in a team, you have like different levels. But so far you need to enjoy to do that. If you find this kind of people, it's like not nice to spend time at work, working all together. So the best is to find a balance inside the team. So by hiring the wrong person, you can completely ruin the atmosphere. But yeah, it's just work. After that, you will spend time with family, friends, and there will be different other things interesting. Of course, you need always to think about some balance private working life. Otherwise, if you will just work and think about earning and this kind of things, is not nice at all.
So I just wanted to say thanks to Giuseppe, who agreed to do this with me today. And I wanted to ask thanks to everyone who will watch this. And don't remember to subscribe so we can improve ourselves for the next time. So
basically wife and mom. There will not be more people than that.
Wife and mom, hello to you. Okay, and we can wrap up. And again, thanks you for watching this and be safe and have a good day.
See you next time. Bye-bye.